Hey everyone. Today we're going to look at 2026 market outlook. As we wrap up 2025, there are some key themes that we've seen kind of develop here throughout the course of the year, and we kind of expect some of those themes to be prominent again in 2026. So 2025 was another great year in the market. We've had, this was the sixth of the last 7 years where we've seen double-digit returns. So it's obviously hard to predict what the market's going to continue to do in the future. But again, we can kind of rely on some of the themes we've seen develop here this calendar year and kind of anticipate what will happen with those moving forward. So some of those key themes that we're looking at in 2026 is diversification's working. So leading up to 2025, it seemed like obviously a lot of the AI with technology, the U.S. was drastically outperforming international equities. And now in 2025, specifically starting kind of around April, we started to see diversification kind of kick in. So international stocks outperformed the U.S. stock market index on a calendar year basis. And then we've also started to see some return from bonds, which we haven't seen that here for a while. So again, kind of not necessarily just sticking with what's worked recently within the last couple of years, but kind of making sure we have a prudent investment allocation, a diversified approach, again, as we head into 2026. The other thing we've seen is elevated evaluations. So with the stock market going up as much as it has, we've seen the prices seem relatively high compared to earnings. We've seen the comparison of is this near kind of what the .com bubble was, and so with some of the volatility, we just need to make sure that we're prepared. And again, your portfolio is allocated in a way to withstand the volatility again in 2026. And then lastly, we'll look at AI. So obviously it's in the news. It's something that's been important for everybody's portfolios. And we've now seen, companies invest trillions of dollars into infrastructure. And so now what we need to kind of see is, the question we want to see is, do the current prices for AI, are they reflecting the future growth, right? And then kind of how are those companies who have invested all of this money into AI, we need to start to see some proof in their earnings that it's been worth it. And then lastly, we'll take a look at tariffs. So tariffs were really a big highlight at the end of 24, early 2025. But really throughout the course of the year, we didn't really see the impacts of tariffs much like kind of the news and kind of what everyone thought would happen. So inflation's remained stable. Growth in the economy continues. And so that's kind of something that we want to look forward to in 2026 is whether or not those tariffs ultimately have any sort of impact on inflation, drive inflation higher, and see if any of those impacts are felt. 2026 we got to take a look at the political landscape. So midterm elections in 2026. So that obviously can have some impacts on the market. Debt discussions with the growing national debt. The big beautiful bill that was passed in 2025, we're going to start to see the implementation of some of those tax changes. And all of those types of things will generate some sort of headline. So we expect markets to continue to perform regardless of the political landscape. We've seen it over the course of history. Typically, markets withstand any sort of changes in the political landscape. And then lastly, the Federal Reserve. Obviously, the Fed's been in the news a lot in 2025 with the rate cuts that we've seen, cutting rates 3 times. So investors have their eyes on the market for 2026 to see if they continue to cut rates. But the main thing everyone's looking at is kind of who's going to replace Fed Powell. So the Fed chair, Powell, his term ends in May of 2026. It's expected that Trump will name his successor sometime in Q1 of 2026. So all eyes are kind of turned as we flip the page to the calendar year to see who the new Fed chair will be. And obviously that will have an impact on what happens with interest rates going forward, which ultimately will have an impact on the market. So kind of your path forward. In summaries, markets have delivered strong performance. But the key in 2026, I think, just like every other year, is just maintaining a risk-aware portfolio. So make sure you're diversified, make sure in your portfolio that aligns with your risk tolerance, your objectives, and then kind of continue just like you do every other year. Meet with your advisor, just make sure you're allocated properly as your life and your financial situations change. So with that, we'll wrap up this month's video, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you.